until I die, and then I will fight from the grave.
Crouching at the end of the world, one young girl gazes down, 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 down. Helmet on her head and a rifle at her breast. She liked to think it wasn't humanity, it was society.
We might destroy ourselves, but then we will rise from the ashes. We could burn it all to the ground, but hope will still survive.
Not a single soldier survived at the end of the world. They marched their army straight on down, 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 down. The commander came from no king, dictator, or president, but a man in a suit and tie hiding behind his desk, cowered behind his desk.
They cannot control us. We control us. And we are in this together.
One young man came to the end of the world, found that girl gazing down, 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 down. He took her by the hand and gazed into her eyes. He said, we don't have to fall, we can go back in time. Yeah, we'll go back in time.
We can do this together. We can change the world. We hold the power. It's in our hands. All we have to do is stand up and fight. All we have to do is stand up and fight. I will fight beside you.
This is a commentary on the lack of social distancing in New York City.
There's also a real danger in getting overconfident too quickly. This is an enemy that we have underestimated from day one, and we have paid the price dearly. And frankly, there has been a laxness on social distancing that is just wholly unacceptable. This is serious.
Damn you, so fine, homo double, not fine, better keep your ass inside, trying to keep us all.
This is serious.
I hadn't been outside in weeks. Spanish TV trying to interview me. Meanwhile, I'm just trying to have some peace. 1 hour in the park, away from
This is
everybody.
serious.
Why do you think it's okay to come within 6 feet of me? 6 feet of me. And you're not even wearing a mask. How long will your delusion last? Somehow y'all keep coming closer. Dudes with mental issues playing tag in the park. Social distancing. While our dog barks.
This is serious.
If we don't take 6 feet serious, we're gonna be 6 feet under the ground. I can't say this loud enough.
This is serious.
What right do you have to risk my life? To risk your lives.
What right do you have to act irresponsibly in a way that could get you sick or someone else sick? You don't have the right to risk someone else's life.
Social distancing. Social distancing.
This is serious.
What right do you have? Social right for you to risk my life. What right do you have? It's not right for you to risk my life. Damn you, so fine, homo double, that fine, better keep your ass inside, trying to keep us all.
This is serious.
What right do you have to risk our lives? We pay the price. In nurses, doctors, essential workers, grandparents, parents, and children, these These are our families, neighbors. This is our community, and this is our world. And together we must protect it.
We will not allow tyranny to rule.
Hello, soldiers. You are listening to the sound of victory because I am Liz Victory, and you have tuned into that broadcast news and our all new format. We are broadcasting for the 99% from 99 Perspective Studio in Chicago, Illinois. That broadcast is normally stationed in New York City, but we seized a lovely opportunity to work with the studio here. With that, I would like to introduce my co-host for this inaugural episode, Kit Cabello of Hard Lens Media.
Well, first, again, Liz, thank you for this opportunity. I'm so happy to be your co-host for this very special episode that you're hosting here. And then for all of Liz Victory's followers and supporters, Hard Lens Media is Chicago's fastest growing progressive independent media network. We started in 2017. We've been covering a lot of activist groups, community organizers from political campaigns. We've done a lot of investigative work as well. And since then, we've been continuing to grow, and it's been an outstanding opportunity to really do this here in the city of Chicago. And, you know, as a network, it's important that we give a voice to the voiceless, and we're so more than happy to have our studio being used by you, Liz Victory, but I understand you got a lot more to share with a lot of your supporters and followers, so please take it away.
I always have a lot to say. So this show is happening because I am unsatisfied with the coronavirus coverage I see from legacy media sources, perhaps also known as mainstream media. But what is mainstream now? I mean, if more people are watching YouTube content creators, isn't that what's mainstream? Let's address that later. Please comment below, click the video, comment below, and after every 15 minutes, we will be addressing the comments live. So, nobody is doing what I want to see news-wise, so I guess I'll do it. I do have a degree in journalism from Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania, and I should be doing something with it, right? With the help of my COVID correspondents, a whole coalition of folks. At Current, I've contracted 10 individuals from varying backgrounds, including arts, journalism, and the sciences, to report directly from their localities. They were each given a loose format to follow, which centered on reporting numbers and local government actions. For our inaugural episode, our United States localities include Minnesota, Massachusetts, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, and of course my native Pennsylvania. And I'm very, very, very pleased to announce the inclusion of both Canada and India international correspondents. As I stated earlier, I have not found a satisfactory individual source of nationwide or global coverage of the COVID pandemic. Personally, I don't have time to watch the briefings for every single governor and world leader every single day as much as I would like to. Hell, I can't even speak the language of every other country, again, as much as I would like to. So I've hand-selected people I know personally, who I respect and who I trust to some degree, to be a part of this project I believe the world desperately needs, which is simply global news coverage of the global pandemic without an agenda. In a way, we're creating small, digestible mini briefings for as many localities as we can curate. I also want to showcase differing responses and differing perspectives all across the nation. 99 perspectives. Thought it was cute and ironic. It's easy to get stuck in our bubbles. And yes, many of my correspondents have artistic backgrounds and are likely going to lean left. However, I feel confident that they are all reporting in good faith. I watched all of their videos. I did little to no editing on those videos, and I gave very loose guidelines. As I said before, it was basically give me the numbers. You have this much time to do it in, and be creative, have fun with it. A lot of the correspondents seemed to take a straight news route. We do have some comedians reporting, so things are also entertaining. However, in fact, as these videos arrived, I was overcome with unquantifiable joy as I discovered the segments each correspondent created because, like I said, I gave loose guidelines. More than once, I was brought to tears. More than once, I burst out in laughter. I'm deeply moved by the time, the creativity, the effort, and the pure work from each person who contributed to this project. Again, my gratitude is simply unquantifiable. I look forward with great zeal to the future it is possible for us all to create together. I intend to continue doing the show weekly and intend to continue including correspondence, continuing to grow. Very excited to plant the seed here at 99 Perspectives. And I would, with that, like to thank all of our correspondents for their hard work and diligence. I do hope you enjoy that broadcast news. We intend to continue reporting in this manner for as long as we deem necessary. So, a little background about me. Ironically, now that I have dedicated my whole life to New York City and New York Governor Cuomo, I now find myself in the remarkable 99 Perspective studio here in Chicago. I guess I just couldn't resist a great opportunity to debut this work in a beautiful space with amazing people. I have some of my best friends called me names and hurled insults for the above choices, like all of the above choices. That includes Cuomo and New York and all of that. Yes, they have. Do I care? Yes, obviously, because I'm bringing it up. However, it appears to me that we're living in a world where we could seemingly, arbitrarily, die at any time in the not so distant future. As somebody who isn't experiencing any symptoms and feels healthy, that could be 2 weeks, say about 2 weeks. I could just be dead or intubated, and whatever the consequences of that is because there are consequences to being intubated. And because of this imminent doom we simultaneously face and the ever-growing network of government surveillance as states enact test and trace protocols, New York just talked about their tracing efforts. Cuomo just addressed in his briefing about, when was that? How long ago was that? 30 minutes? An hour?
An hour ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I try to broadcast after Cuomo, but I keep it at 1 p.m. Eastern time every single Thursday. So if he goes late, which makes me so sad, then sometimes I have to miss some of the briefing, but we should be able to keep up to date with exactly what Cuomo is saying the day he's saying it. Trace launched in New York State today. It's a brand new program. If you get a call from New York saying it's New York Trace, he says to answer it. It's for your own good. Whereas I am a self-proclaimed Cuomo-sexual, and I do want to note that one of our opening songs is titled Cuomo-sexual and was produced by my housemates at Castle, as well as the Lit Room studio, which we recently acquired. That is Flo Pilot and Lucy Hall. I do want to give them a shout out for that excellent piece of music. I'm also a huge proponent of the majority of New York governors, Governor Cuomo's actions, especially those which specifically called out Trump and literally saved my life. I fear for my brothers, sisters, and siblings living in government housing. Every time Governor Cuomo talks about ramping up testing in low-income areas or in communities of color, my skepticism of government kicks in. Most times in the past, when a collective group of marginalized people are singled out by the government, it is not for the better. Well, I've spent most of my adult life living below the poverty line. I suppose I never managed, I lived a bit on the fringes of society in that below the poverty line ranking. And I never managed to live in the same place for 5 to 10 years that it takes to qualify for Section 8 housing. So I have not done the government housing thing yet. And that 5 to 10 number was last I checked. And that's even for some place as small as my hometown, Erie, Pennsylvania. It took them about 5 or 6 years to get back to me about Section 8 housing. And by the time that I did, I was no longer in Erie, Pennsylvania. So I was living in a room with 10 other roommates. Not in the same room. We each had our own room. That's cool. I'm just saying I lived in a house with 10 people. It was actually one of the best experiences of my life, just for the record. That's the Pittsburgh Art House. If you don't know me and you don't know that, now you know. I want all communities to be protected, but I fear what government actions are taken in the name of protection. Surveillance is a big one. Endless regime change wars is another big one. Examples of government overreach for the sake of protection. I will note again that you can call me an admirer of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. To me, he appears to be a true leader, somebody who makes decisions based on facts and data, the quintessential New Yorker who tells it like it is and trusts us, New Yorkers, his constituents, to do the right thing because we believe we are being told the truth. And believing a politician is telling the truth is a tall order, especially for a defiant bunch of humans like New Yorkers. Governor Cuomo leads from the front and leads by example, and that inspires confidence in me. I have great hope for New York, especially with Governor Cuomo at the helm, to be honest. All of that with a grain or perhaps great big rock of salt, because again, I don't trust government. I am a left-leaning libertarian, believe it or not. Libertarian, yes. But I still feel really good about Cuomo's actions. Feel free to come at me with your criticisms. Everybody is. I'm into it. I'm interested. I'm reading. We have retained remarkable amounts of freedoms here in the United States. Honestly, I'm profoundly grateful for that. Our freedom of movement has saved my life. I mean that very, very literally. It also brought me here. I'm really looking forward to the show with all of you. I've been closely following the COVID-19 pandemic since I began fearing the restriction of travel between states. I needed to cross state borders. I needed to move from Pennsylvania to New York. I needed to get to and beyond Manhattan Island and into Brooklyn. I needed to move into the center of the epicenter as the number of deaths peaked in the United States, especially New York. And I just needed to report the news. And this is just the beginning of our coverage here at That Broadcast. We plan to continue growing and gathering reports from all over the globe to create a dynamic and multifaceted view of the COVID-19 global pandemic. Despite what anyone may think is common sense, we are facing unprecedented circumstances across the globe. The most recent and comparable pandemic was the 1918 influenza pandemic, which killed more than 50 million people, 675,000 in the U.S. I just heard a projection today that it looks like we could possibly be facing 500,000 deaths in the United States when all is said and done. It's very comparable. That was, I believe, from Cuomo's briefing today. He dropped the 500,000 number. The stats that I'm giving you right now are from a website called bioscience.com. They've been reporting on the science news since 1985. These numbers, the 50 million people, 675,000 dead, that's about a 2% fatality rate. For everyone claiming that COVID is just like the flu, the average fatality rate for seasonal flu is 0.1%. The decimal makes a big difference. COVID is estimated to be between 1% and 5%. We don't know. That is a big deal. We need to really accept that we don't know and move forward with the knowledge, knowing that we don't know. And we're still learning about this virus every day. Even our top experts do not know or have all of the answers. Here at That Broadcast News, we report to you in good faith. And I want to address the comments real quick because we're at the quarter of an hour.
Yes. So, first of all, there's nothing but a whole bunch of positive comments.
Oh, well, that's good. I'm surprised.
So we're seeing a lot of people are asking who was representing from, let's see.
Pennsylvania.
Yes,
we have Nick Graybeal from Pennsylvania. Stay tuned.
Yep.
Also, John Sheehan is doing a special report for the punks in Pennsylvania. We're covering a lot of different perspectives here.
And then there's also Christine Nicole, who says, Erie represent, who also says the Pittsburgh Art House was the bomb to play. And again, like, you got a lot of people right now tuning in and really supportive of you. So I think this is important to share. And to everyone that's watching, please share on your social media pages. I know that this has been a big project that List Victory has been working on. We here at 99 Perspectives have been really open to this idea, and we're more than happy to have you here so you can run this special program. I know that we've been communicating back and forth, and I have to say, I actually saw some sneak peeks of some of the correspondent videos. I didn't see them all, but for the ones that I did see, guys, you did fantastic work, and this could basically be the beginning of something really fantastic. And thank you all for sharing and contributing to List Victory and what she's been working on, because there's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes that really made this all come together. So again, thank you for all sharing and joining us here today.
Thank you, Kit. I do want to read a couple of John Sheehan's comments. He has the best comments sometimes, I swear. He is also our special punk rock skate park correspondent out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He says, lamestream media would tell us that birds are real and conceal the truth that birds were systematically genocided by the diabolical U.S. government and replaced by robot surveillance drones designed to spy upon our every move. So if you didn't know that birds aren't real, now you do. That's a joke. Okay, I'm just gonna spell it out for you, because even when things are spelled out, sometimes people don't understand. So I'm just gonna spell it out for you. And I'm also going to offer this criticism because John is one of my big, look what Governor Daddy did now people who are on my timeline. I fear for New York State nursing home residents who have experienced COVID-19 infections in numbers far beyond any other state as a direct result of misguided policy that forced nursing homes to take infected patients, a policy that the majority of other states did not follow. That is John's opinion. I would speak for Governor Cuomo because I do watch his briefings every single day. And I believe the policy that John is addressing is that Governor Cuomo said nursing homes could not take patients, or nursing homes could not deny a patient based on COVID status. So a nursing home could not say, oh, we will not take that person because they have COVID. But they could basically, I think because it falls under like discrimination, okay? But they could basically refuse a patient for any other reason. And they don't even have to give the reason, Cuomo said. So if you don't have proper quarantine facilities, if you don't have proper PPE for your employees at the nursing home, we can't take them. And then the state will place them. So I feel like a little bit of responsibility should be put on the nursing homes here. I have been given further sources from John to further investigate the nursing home situation in New York. It does not look good. I will tell you that. And I do want to research it further. And again, I do want to view government with skepticism. I'm just saying I'm really inspired by Cuomo's leadership and the way that he's dealt with things so far. I think every single briefing he's asked, do you think you could have done better? Do you regret your decisions? And every time he answers, basically, we did the best that we could and we saved every life that we possibly could have. And to be honest, like, I was behind on the curve of taking this seriously. So am I going to expect my leaders to do better than me? Yes, to a degree. And they did. They were shutting things down. And I was like, what the fuck? My favorite band plays this weekend. I am not happy. So I was not taking things seriously for a while. I needed to see that death toll go up in order to take things seriously. So that's me. That's my fault. I'm not governor of any state right now, currently. So I just don't feel like it was really necessarily mishandled. I don't know if Jens can hear the sirens, but I feel right at home when I hear sirens. Okay, I'm going to do my shill. This is my quarterly shill. So you can support my work by donation. You can do single donations on Cash App. That is $LISS Victory. You can do a single donation, paypal.me/List Victory. That's LISS Victory. Or you can become a patron on Patreon, because now is a great time to support artists who can't tour, who can't perform live, who can't rent their studio space necessarily as much as they were before, or can, but it's Corona. So
Corona, not helping out anybody right now.
You can find all this information at lissvictory.com. I am a songwriter, so you can buy my music. That also helps. I recommend buying on Bandcamp because 85% of Bandcamp sales and profits go back to the artists, and Bandcamp only keeps a little sliver of 15%. iTunes, I think, gives you a hay penny from 1883 or something every time you sell an album, like a whole album. They barely give you anything. But I could always use Spotify followers. I love Spotify, despite the fact they don't give me much money, if any. So please follow me on Spotify. Kit, do you want to shill some stuff? Do you feel like shilling?
Well, of course, to anyone that's interested in learning more about Hard Lens Media, we have a website, www.hardlensmedia.com. That's HARDLENSMEDIA.com. But to anyone who knows anyone who's an artist, musician, podcast, YouTuber in the city of Chicago, Cook County, we have this studio space. You see the studio space that Liz Victory is using? It's called 99 Perspectives. This is where we do our show. So go to www.99perspectives.tv. You will see our website. You can follow, you get any kind of updated information there. Please go ahead and check us out. We are 99 Perspectives. And if you want to learn more about Hard Lens Media, again, Hard Lens Media, this is where we do our show. So there's our YouTube channel, Hard Lens Media, and then there's the name of our studio, 99 Perspectives. Please check us out, especially if you know anyone in the city of Chicago, Cook County, state of Illinois, if they want to use our studio space. We are open. We believe in giving a platform, a voice to the voiceless, and we're more than happy. I think, Liz, I think you could speak on first-hand account. It's pretty easy using our studio space, right?
Oh, it's absolutely lovely. And I just kind of immediately fell in love with everybody who's here.
Huge shout out to Gunnar, who's manning the board. So everyone give him a round of applause, too, who's doing all the work.
Huge shout out and big thank you.
Yep.
As well as Daniel, you say his last name.
Daniel Lupker.
Yeah, he's also a lovely human.
Yes.
I enjoy our banter.
Good friend, good colleague. So I think now you should take it away further.
Yeah, I do want to address a couple other things. There's an important comment from Troll. I'm going to call her Troll for now. She may be a correspondent in the future. I really hope that we snag this one. So she said, as reported cases in Erie County, that's my hometown, my home region. There's an Erie County in New York and in Pennsylvania. This is Pennsylvania's Erie County. They hit a record high yesterday. There's still little official action outside of the state mandates for the so-called yellow phase. Tune in, stay tuned, because Nick Graybill is going to be covering Pennsylvania toward the end of the second hour when our correspondents go up. So stick around. He's going to explain the whole red, yellow, green phase. I feel like if you've ever been in a car, you might have an idea of where that's going. So Troll goes on to say, it feels like we are just sitting around to go back to the red phase. I do not disagree with her. She did give me some numbers. I kind of want to find them real quick. Kit, do you have any comment?
In regards to this, what's happening, I mean, look, and we're probably going to be talking about this even a little bit later on before we get to all the field correspondence. Just in my own opinion, what we're seeing right now, I understand a lot of people want to return back to normal. I hear you. I agree with you, but that's not coming back. I am so sorry. That world is gone. And so human beings were not designed to stay this way. We're not designed to be in one place the whole time. So there has to be a middle ground. And what is it? Well, my only solution is really some kind of UBI. I mean, there at that point, basically people have income to provide for themselves, their family, pay their bills, rent, mortgage, whatever. But at the same time, too, they still have that freedom to move around, all while practicing social distancing. But you're not reopening up the retail stores. You're not reopening all these other businesses. There's around at least, 40 million Americans right now who filed for unemployment, and that number is still rising up. And there's no cure, no vaccination for COVID-19. Returning back to normal, it just won't happen. It's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen next week. There will be a second phase of this virus because this is how all these viruses work.
We don't know that,
So,
but
yeah,
it looks.
but it looks like that could be the case. I mean, who knows?
That's
Perhaps
how
I'm wrong.
the 1918 pandemic worked.
Yeah.
It came in 3 waves. Cuomo's mentioned this a lot of times.
Yeah.
So I got those numbers for Erie County, Pennsylvania. So as of Wednesday, May 20th, Troll informed me that Wednesday, May 20th, they had a record of new cases, which was 17 new cases The previous daily record had been 10 new cases. So that's important to note. In Erie County, I have noticed my friends up there in my hometown have been pretty nervous about things because they're watching upticks in the numbers. Cuomo did also say that as we reopen, there will be upticks in numbers. We will experience more deaths. That's going to happen. One thing that I was interested in kind of chatting a bit about with Kit was the death toll. But actually, let me get into my numbers real quick because I've been pontificating a lot and not getting into my numbers. So New York State. Today, Governor Cuomo reported 105 deaths. That's as of May 20th. That's yesterday's number, and that's for New York State. Our numbers have been steadily declining, and we do have numbers that have been in steady decline for the past 14 days, and that's a metric for reopening. New York State has 7 metrics for reopening, and that includes declines in hospitalizations, in intubations, in cases, in deaths, as well as a 30% hospital bed availability and 30% availability in ICU units. Currently, we have 364,249 known cases. Okay, I think that's really important to point out. Known cases, because not everybody is being tested. We do have excellent testing capacity in New York right now. Cuomo said that we have some testing facilities that are equipped to test 15,000 people a day, that they're only testing 5,000 people a day. And we are still limiting who qualifies for tests. It's not tests free for all right now. Currently, it is if you're an essential worker, if you have symptoms, you can go and get a test. I have had a hard time finding out how much these tests cost, but I do believe we passed a clinic here in Chicago that said it was free antibodies and COVID testing. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, yes. But again, when we see signs like that or facilities like that, always question. It's always important to question because you never know. And something I think all the governors across this country have warned a lot of their people, the people that they represent, is be careful of scammers. And there's people who say they might have a COVID-19 test, and you get tested, and it turns out there's nothing there, or there's some other financial scamming that's happening. So please be careful and fact check. In fact, go to your respective states' government websites, so that way you're given the true information. Just don't trust anything on a billboard or on the side of the street. Just verify for yourself first by going to the respective sources, especially within your own respected state government.
So also currently in New York City, Queens is still leading the pack as far as cases. That's 60,939 cases, while Brooklyn, that's Kings County. So Queens is Queens County and Brooklyn is Kings County. They have 54,447 known cases. Brooklyn leads in deaths right now at 6,480, and Queens is at 6,013. For context, each county has over 2 million people in them. So that's 2 million people, over 2 million people in Brooklyn, over 2 million people in Queens. And we have numbers that are still higher than many states in the United States. It's still higher than many countries in the world. So a couple little things to add about New York and New York City. Masks are required to enter many, if not all, workplace establishments. There's big signs all over the place to say you can't come in with masks. Some you have to have masks and gloves, like the cannabis joint that I walked by the other day. It was like mask and gloves, and luckily I keep gloves in my pocket just in case. I'm more of a wash your hands and sanitize person than a wear gloves person. It sort of depends on the situation. If you're wearing gloves and then you touch something that has the virus on it, and then you touch something else, like the gloves are just transposing it from place to place anyway. You might as well just keep cleaning and sanitizing your actual hands. If you have different information for me that makes a difference in what I'm saying, please feel free to comment below and tell me what's actually going on. I know you can get cracks in your skin. That might be bad. You might be better off wearing gloves in that situation. So, definitely masks are required. Most people on the streets in New York City, at least in my experience walking around, they are wearing masks. They are following social distancing protocol. I did kind of get into a fight with like a very heavily accented New Yorker, which was kind of fun. But she was cool about it because she stood like right behind me online at Walgreens, and I heard her say on the phone that she was online, so she wasn't like, just looking at stuff. So I turned around to her, and because she seemed like a person like me, I felt like I could be like, yo. So I said, yo, if you're online, could you, step back? And she said, as she stepped back, which was the goal, so I did not pursue anything further, she said, it's not that big a fucking deal. And I was like, oh, I don't know, honey. 6,480 people who are no longer alive in Brooklyn might disagree with you that it's not that big a fucking deal. So, yeah, I feel like that covers New York State pretty much. I feel like we're getting into. Oh no, it's pretty good. It's at the first half hour.
Yeah, first half hour. We're doing pretty good, and I think it's important that we actually share this information about New York because, sadly, the unfortunate situation that's happening in New York State is that, well, it's the leading state that has a lot of cases right now, and there's a lot of people right now that are hurting. There's a lot of families right now that are struggling to find answers to this situation that is an overwhelming power of nature. And this is something that I think none of us have seen in our lifetimes. And we have a system that's basically ill-prepared to really address the problems of COVID-19. And there's no such thing as a perfect government. But in regards to the United States, we are failing, but the bar of leadership is so low right now that, our governors. And, of course, I have my own opinions about all the different governors right now handling the situation, but they're doing the best they can with the material that is presented before them. Are these individuals perfect? No. Are they heroes that should be worshipped? No. But are they trying to at least make sure that their people and their constituents are safe? Yes, because we are all in this. COVID-19 does not understand the differences between people or groups or social classes. This is something that doesn't care what you believe in, and we have to work together in order to face this crisis. So that's key. That's important in regards to dealing with this. That's how I'm viewing it. And Cuomo, I have my criticism of him, but he's the governor of the state, and he has to do what he has to do, but that's not going to stop me from criticizing him. But again, to a lot of people who are dealing with Donald Trump as president of the United States, comparing him to Cuomo, it's like apples and oranges, but nonetheless, he's probably able to be more coherent, perhaps more compassionate than Trump. But again, this is a political system, but I don't want to rant too long, so.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out to how Redacted Tonight addressed the whole Cuomo situation, because it was just so funny. I think it was Natalie McGill. And she comes on and she says, I just, someone who understands how to speak in full sentences and actually knows where they are when they show up somewhere. It was just such a breath of fresh air that I'm just all about Governor Cuomo now. And that's super valid.
Yeah.
The bar is so low.
I know. The bar is so low in American politics, and the rest of the world is watching us. And, laughing, yes. And at the same time, too, when we look at how they're taking care of their people, it's like, okay, well, they're at least giving them some form of UBI. There's some form of single-payer health care or Medicare for all. A lot of these countries don't have to worry or don't have a system of student debt, which is what we have in this country. We have no social safety nets, and there are a lot of people right now struggling, concerned how they're going to make it not only through today, but tomorrow and next week, not only for themselves, but for their family and the people that they care for. So this is a dangerous situation, and we need to follow through with this, but with clear minds and to be factual about this and help each other out. That's the whole idea of media, social media as a whole, for us to communicate. We just can't be in our own bubbles. That means talking to people that normally you probably wouldn't talk to, whether they're green or socialist or libertarian or Republican. I think we all can agree that we got to get through this together because our government's not going to help us out.
Actually, part of the reason I'm doing this show is because people definitely do not agree with that. You're friends with Trump supporters?
Or libertarians.
My
or
whole
Greens.
family is filled with Trump supporters, okay? I wasn't one of those people. And I had oh, sorry. I had friends come at me like I disowned my family. Sorry, honey, I'm not disowning my family because of the way they voted. And I'm not going to disown my friends because of the way that they voted. And I'm not going to shut people out for their beliefs. I want to remain friends with people like that. I want to interact with people like that. I want to reach an audience of all kinds of people because I want to be able to expose others to the most positive things I possibly can, to goodness and to good faith, and really working to make a difference globally, especially now that we have this opportunity, the silver lining of tragedy, where we are all sort of gathering online and finding new ways to interact with each other, so that I'm not just hosting an open mic on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Zoom, in a venue, which is maybe the best venue in all of Pittsburgh, called Hambones. I'm not just doing it there, and you don't have to show up, and you don't have to live in Pittsburgh, and you don't have to travel to Pittsburgh. Now it's on Zoom, it's on an app, it's on the internet. So I was really excited to have somebody from India come into our Zoom, into our open mic this past Tuesday, and that's possible now. And he was joking about how he didn't need a visa to perform in the United States because he's with us on Zoom, and that's one of the most amazing things. I'll give him a shout out. His name is Arnav Rao. You can find that. That's ARNAVRAO. I'm pretty sure he's all over the YouTubes. So look him up. He's a pretty funny dude. We were all, laughing a bunch in the Zoom. And he's also going to be a part of our Lit Fest, actually. I haven't talked a whole lot about the Lit Room, so I will sort of inject my shill here with stuff about the Lit Room real quick. We are doing a fundraiser to save our home as well as our studio space that we recently acquired in the Williamsburg neighborhood of Brooklyn in New York City. And the fundraiser is in the form of a virtual online festival. And Arnav is putting together a comedy show that's going to happen during the festival, which is really exciting. That broadcast news is a part of the festival. The open mic is a part of the festival. We have digital artists, we have healers, we have tarot readers, we have club music, we have dubstep, we have songwriters, we have like everything for this festival. And it takes place between Sunday, May 24th and Sunday, May 31st. I'm pretty sure every housemate in Castle, that is the home that we live in because I am a fruity artist, and of course every place that I live has a name. So every artist involved in the castle who live above the Lit Room is doing something for the virtual festival, and we have a GoFundMe up. I will link that all in the comments below at the end of the episode, so please stay tuned to the whole show. It would be great to see yins at Litfest. I'm really excited about it. A lot of stuff is happening. We're making all these connections. We have these connections in Chicago. We have connections in Pennsylvania. I have a tech team in Pennsylvania. Nick Graybeal should be simulcasting this to YouTube right now. The way we've be able to come together globally is just, again, my gratitude and my joy are just unquantifiable, okay? And with that, I'm going to calm down. And I'm finally going to give things over to Kit here.
Yes. So I think it's important to note that first, again, this has been a really great opportunity to work with you and collaborate with you, not only with what you're doing, but with the rest of your colleagues as well across this country and across the world as well, because you got some foreign correspondents. Because stay tuned for the second hour. You're going to be hearing their perspective. A lot of people put a lot of work into it. I saw only some of the videos, not all of them, but some that I saw are fantastic. And I saw Liz work on the entire project as well, and she has been overjoyed with the amount of contributions that's been done from all the people who heroically stepped up to do this. But I think it's only fair that I also talk about Illinois as well, because we're also dealing with this crisis. And the information I have, and I do apologize for this is from yesterday, so the numbers are updated daily at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's for us here in the city of Chicago. Last updated yesterday at 2:30 p.m. And these are right now the unfortunate results. And to anyone who's in the state of Illinois, Chicago, who is watching this right now, I think we all understand that we are all in this together. But as it stands right now, again, the numbers will update later on today. This is from yesterday. 100,418 positive tests confirmed. 4,525 deaths confirmed from COVID-19. 642,713 total tests performed within the state of Illinois. It's important to know that all these people, the 100,000 that have just tested positive, the 4,525 that have passed away, these are flesh and blood human beings. These are American citizens. And this is a crisis that's impacting all across this country, all across the world, and we are in this together. But this is an ongoing problem. And one of the concerns that I have with COVID-19 and with these numbers, because again, there's this talk of decompression, de-escalation, trying to return things back to normal, and that's not going to happen. I don't think that that's going to happen. Now, again, if that's not the case, if we don't have a second wave, then we have clearly dodged a bullet. But I don't really agree with the idea of decommissioning McCormick Place. That should still be at standby because, again, the numbers are still going up, and that's a sad fact. But this could get worse. And McCormick Place, in case for all the viewers that are watching this who don't know what it is, it's a large space where shows and events and rallies are done, and it was made into a makeshift hospital. There we go. And it's rather concerning that now there's talk about moving things back. And look, we can't do that right now because we are a country that doesn't have single-payer health care. We don't have Medicare for all, and we need to really start having that conversation not only amongst ourselves, but with the political establishment. And one of the things that's going to cause a lot of these cases to continue to rise up is that, look, pollution, environmental racism are real issues. Hard Lens Media, we've done a lot of investigative work in regards to environmental pollution and environmental racism that's impacting a lot of working class communities, communities of color. Case in point, we did a short documentary in regards to the industrial facilities in Indiana where they're dumping, quote unquote, regulated toxic waste into Lake Michigan, where they dilute the waste material, the toxic metals and everything else with water, let it sit for a while, and then they dump it right into Lake Michigan. Now, look, if my colleague Daniel was here, he'd probably go into really long details about how that just doesn't work because dilution is not the solution, and Lake Michigan is a large body of fresh water. But on top of that, there's a lot of industrial facilities that are putting in a lot of toxic material in the air. And of course, if we don't have clean air, it's a problem because it impacts a lot of people's lungs. And with COVID-19, it's a very serious problem. Now, I mentioned Indiana, but also we've done investigative work here in the city of Chicago. Case in point, the MAT asphalt plant, M-A-T asphalt plant. And this asphalt plant was built in 2018 next to a 63-acre public park. There are homes, apartments, condos, small businesses, 2 schools, a community center, and an open pool, and no one within the state of Illinois, city of Chicago, or Cook County informed the residents that that asphalt plant was going to be built, and it's basically running without a permit. So Illinois EPA, Cook County, Chicago Environmental Protection Agency, if there's ever a time where you have to step up and do your job, now's the time. But see, there are facilities like that all across the city of Chicago, predominantly on the south and west side neighborhoods, where working class communities, poor communities are right now struggling. And, you know, I'm actually proud to say that we actually did cover a protest where the people in the 12th Ward, where the asphalt plant is built, actually shut that place down for 1 whole hour because they weren't getting any results from any officials within the state of Illinois, city of Chicago, or Cook County, and it's done. And one of the main reasons why they were doing this is because of COVID-19 and what an asphalt plant does. Asphalt plants release particulate matter, and particulate matter affects the heart, lungs, and brains. And the people, the age groups that are impacted the most are young people and senior citizens. And COVID-19, well, because it's a flu-like virus, it impacts the lungs, and young people, but also senior citizens, are heavily impacted by COVID-19. The very fact that this asphalt plant is still there and no leading official has ever stepped up to really address it is very concerning. But there are other facilities like that all across Chicago. Case in point, too, we did an interview with a striker who works at Amazon at this large warehouse facility where not one but two of his colleagues tested positive for COVID-19. And a lot of the strikers were basically going on the record saying that the place is not safe, they're not following sanitary guidelines, and this warehouse is in the city of Chicago. So if you are in the Midwest, chances are if you have Amazon, you order from Amazon, that package probably got to your home or somebody who uses Amazon, and they're at risk of impact, of basically getting their whole community, their family, their friends exposed to COVID-19. This is a very serious virus. It could survive on cardboard, metals, plastics, and again, no cure, no vaccination. We have to be smart about this. We have to be compassionate about this. And as an independent progressive media network, it's important that we hear perspectives from the working class. Now, with corporate media, they're always going to do the political game. They're going to say Democrats are doing this, Republicans are going to be doing this, all the while the people are being ignored. And our coverage of COVID-19, we're talking about what it does to the economy, what it does to working class communities, what it does to people. And this virus, it's not going to go away, but it has exposed how flawed our system is, thanks to our neoliberal system of smoke and mirrors where nothing works, and we are all left holding the bag, all the while our government chooses to bail out the corporations. Our government chooses to take care of its number one constituents, Wall Street executives, big banks, major corporations. 90% of the time, those United States senators and House representatives, whether they're Democrat or Republican, they're on the phone asking for more donations so they can work on more legislation to help out their constituents. Basically, not you, the working class, but the people in the top 1%.
Amen,
it's a nightmare.
kid.
It's a nightmare. So, nonetheless, that's my coverage of at least what's happening here. Again, these numbers will probably be updating later today. So, again, this is an ongoing crisis, but there's a lot of other factors that add into this, and environmental racism, pollution will play a horrible role in regards to contributing to more deaths and more positive tests, unfortunately. And I wish there was something more we can do about it, but the real solution is really people stepping up and demanding more action. And that's probably calling for a national strike, because we're not going back to normal. That's what I have to say.
You're always talking about strikes. All right, look, let's address the strike thing real quick. We're going to go off topic, off script. So you're always like, strike. And I'm like, but I love my job.
Well,
I don't want to strike. My job is great.
Well, what I'm saying is, in regards to retail workers and people who are being treated horribly by these large corporations.
Like McDonald's,
Walmart,
Amazon.
Walmart. And I think we should stand in solidarity with a lot of these people who work at these major corporations. They don't deserve to be exposing themselves to COVID-19, and none of them. What's needed is to hold these corporations accountable. So when I say strike, look, if the rest of the country wants to do it too, hey, all more power to us all. It requires a massive mobilization, but the way the government is showing favoritism to the establishment, to corporations, to those who have power, absolute power, no responsibility, I think it's only fair that we take that comfort away from them. But it requires action and mobilization for people to step up. That's what I want to see done.
Well, I love that because I was watching Hard Lens. It was yesterday. I was watching yesterday, and I was working, and I had to jump into the chat because Daniel was like, "It's not that hard to not eat McDonald's," and I had to comment and be like, "It's not that fucking hard." However, in retrospect, a little bit. There may be situations in which I've been here, okay? My friends have been here, in which you only have $1, and the only thing that you can walk to because you don't have public transportation and you live in a food desert is fucking McDonald's. And the only way that you're gonna eat that day with the single dollar that you have is if you get something off the dollar menu, and that's it. So it's not quite as cut and dry as, just stop eating McDonald's, which I did, but I have some level of privilege there in that I can get food that isn't just McDonald's. You do have situations where, especially driving through the Midwest, right? driving through the Midwest, touring through the Midwest, and it's like, where do I get food? How do I get food? How do I get a healthy option? Usually what I do is I go to a gas station and I get, some chips and hummus or something like that. There are certain gas stations that have access to at least some decent foods. And I have heard that the healthiest fast food, honestly, it just tends to be Mexican food. So Chipotle is not so bad if that is categorized as fast food. And then like Taco Bell. So, if you're a touring artist and you want that piece of advice, there you go. And yeah, when we get back on the road, because I do believe it is when we return to the world, return to the streets. It's not an if. It's not. We're not going to stay shut down forever in every capacity. I don't think, especially now that we know that we have some level of control over this, and personal protective equipment, it works. Mm-hmm. We're finding that works. We're finding that social distancing works when, it could have been more airborne, because according to recent briefing, the droplets that you cough out can hang in the air for up to 3 hours, which is terrifying. I mean, good gracious. Just going outside then, you just walk through some water droplets. So I would say even more reason to wear a mask. I am very pro mask wearing. I use blue medical masks, and I'll use a bandana, but bandanas really don't do the job that the blue medical masks do. So if you can get your hands on some blue medical masks or the N95s, I find them to be very uncomfortable. I know that's quite a privileged thing to say. I have one, and I intend to keep it for, some really special occasion where I need to be extra safe, I also do have that gas mask in scene that I used to perform live back in the day. It is real. It has filter canisters, and I am really looking forward to walking around Brooklyn with that LED light up gas mask, effective and working, with my aviator goggles, also effective and working, and just tooling around Brooklyn like that. It just sounds very exciting. Okay, I've been talking a lot. I apologize, Kit.
No, that's perfectly fine. This is your show. I'm not the host of it. I'm just a special guest co-host. So I'm happy to be here, though. But I think it's important that we all contribute in regards to being safe. That's fine. Not the first time these mics have been in horrible situations. It's all good. So I think it's important that we all just really contribute in taking care of each other and really stepping up. I mean, the only way we're going to beat this virus, this horrible crisis that we're in, is by working together and communicating and at least trying to make sure we halt this spread of this virus as much as we can. Now, it is too little too late. The virus is everywhere. There's debate's over. It's out there, and maybe there was at one point early on we could have stopped it, but we are long past that point. The ink is already dry, and we have to continue living our lives now. This will be our new normal. This is the new thing that we are dealing with. We're not going to return back to the world before COVID-19, and we have to learn from lessons from this, such as we have to start really talking about real social safety programs to take care of people, like a real UBI, like a federal jobs guarantee, like Medicare for all, like student debt forgiveness, reinvesting into our infrastructure, and dealing with climate change. This is an ongoing issue that requires all of us as citizens to step up from different points of perspectives and different points of view. Now, we're not going to get that from Washington, D.C., so we have to hold our feet to the fire, and that means fighting for that better future. We have to be aggressive and unapologetic. So when I say strike, I'm saying for those corporations that are right now hurting their workers, who are just basically saying, they don't need that extra pay anymore. I don't really have to take care of them anymore. No. Those workers walk off, strike. It's a monumental task, though, to do, because we're asking people to continue to make sacrifices, and that's what's being asked from the working class. We always have to make sacrifices. We have to make sacrifices, but we can't let the establishment just get away with this, and so that they could think that, well, no matter what happens, they're going to be okay. No. They're in this with us too, and they owe us a lot. That's my perspective.
I totally agree. So we're at the last 5 minutes of our segment. After this, we'll be running the second hour of the show. Will be all correspondents, and they've provided us videos that include the numbers. They do seem to stick to the numbers. There really isn't a whole lot of opinions that are included. There are some, you know, I have like a bunch of pro-mask wearers, so like there's stuff about that. But I do believe that they're all reporting in good faith, and I think that they did truly an amazing job. The first video I watched while I was traveling, so it was really difficult to watch anything or do anything on the internet. It was Darwin's Finches out of Houston, Texas, and he actually plays a song because he's been live streaming, I think, every day with his son, playing songs about the pandemic. And I met him on like my first cross-country tour ever, and that was back in 2010, so I've known him for 10 years. And just hearing his voice, and Darwin's Finches is like one of my favorite Houston bands. I love their music. I met Joe Ortiz from Clockpole in a cafe, and he said, you have to stay in Houston an extra day because there's this album release show you need to go to. And as a journalist, I heard album release show, and I knew that was where I needed to be. So I went, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I met Jacob, Darwin's Finches, and when I watched his video and I heard his song, I just started to cry. It was just such a beautiful and surreal experience. And that's Justin, Darwin's Finches. I apologize, honey. Please forgive me. So there are just so many correspondents, which just brings me so much joy.
And they've done a lot of work really putting this whole thing together for not only List Victory, but for the show to make it happen. And I got to say, for the few videos I did see, great work. And all I can tell is from List Victory's response to putting all these videos together and all of it working out. I mean, she was overjoyed. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say everyone did a fantastic job. And stay tuned for more videos like this in the future, I would assume.
Yes, every week, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to continue to do this. I'll be setting up a studio in the lit room. It's going to be pretty fly. I don't know when I'll get quite to 99 perspectives level, but it'll be really, really sweet. We're setting up our studio now. We're doing renovations. We're doing the fundraising to help with those renovations. We are aiming to buy that building because we live there. We have the retail space downstairs, which isn't currently being used as retail space. Obviously, that's kind of how we obtained it. It seriously came with a stage in the back and a recording studio. Not just something that looked like a stage and a recording studio, a literal stage and recording studio are back there. And right now we're investing, to be completely honest, personal funds, personal savings into renovations and into getting things together so that we can utilize that space safely, and the current residents will be able to utilize that space until we're able to open up, and then we'll be able to open it up to the greater community. And we are very friendly to touring artists. As a former, current, possibly future, I don't know, definitely touring artist in my lifetime, it's a great space to be in. I also want to mention too, this is super important. While we are broadcasting the correspondence, we'll still be in the chat. So please stay tuned, talk to us. We're still going to be here with you, and we can still interact with you in the chat. I don't know if there's anything really that's gone on in the chat that seems like super important to address. I know my conservative friend Dave, he seems upset about some of the rhetoric we were using, but I'm not super worried about it. I'm sure Dave will get over it and he'll tune in again some other time. If he did leave, I don't know if he left. I always encourage people to stick around and get exposed to different ideas and different perspectives, because I think even if you disagree with them, it helps you, at the very least, if you want to look at it negatively, it helps you formulate your argument against them. So when I hear like really hyper liberal progressive arguments, I can usually come up with a counter that's like, Ben Shapiro says, and I just think it's hilarious, you know? And then by giving that argument I heard from Ben Shapiro to my progressive friend, they get to give me that counter argument, and then I'm even better armed, better equipped to deal with that in debate later when I'm talking to folks that I disagree with. So that's why I feel like it's so important to get as many perspectives as possible. You hear a lot of people say both sides. There aren't two sides here. There really aren't. This is a multifaceted diamond of humanity that we're working with, okay? So if you could give that respect to humanity and understand that there's not just one or two sides, that there's an unquantifiable, again, amount of sides, and we're just all in this together as well. Yeah. The diamond of humanity. One last quick shill before we get into correspondence, because it is 1:00 right now. Well, Central Time. So you can find all of my information at lissvictory.com. You can make a one-time donation. It would really help us out right now, especially during this time that I can't make money hosting open mics on a stage or touring or a lot of the other things that I was doing to stack that below poverty line paper that I was getting. So Cash App, money sign, LISS Victory, List Victory, paypal.me/LISS Victory, List Victory. You can become a patron, and that's a subscriber, and you get exclusive content there. That's patreon.com/LISS Victory. It's a great time to get on Patreon because you have access to a bunch of different artists who all could really use the help, especially right now during economic hardship, including Hard Lens Media is on Patreon.
Yes, we are on Patreon. Again, huge shout out to our Patreon supporters who are helping us out. But also, if you want to learn more about Hard Lens Media, please check out our YouTube channel, Hard Lens Media, HARDLENSMEDIA.com. That's our website. That's also our YouTube channel as well, Hard Lens Media, HARDLENSMEDIA. But if you want to learn more about our studio, or to any of your viewers, if they want to learn more about our studio, check out our website, 99perspectives.tv. We are within the city of Chicago, Cook County, state of Illinois. So if you know any artists or people who want to contribute or make something happen, have them shout us out here at 99 Perspectives and give them studio space. We got this wonderful studio space here. So I think with that being said, I think I should hand it over to you for the final note.
I'd also encourage you to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both those handles are at LISS Victory. And you can follow The Lit Room on Instagram at The Lit, LIT Room NYC. And you can also follow our Twitch channel. We're trying to get affiliation, and that is where the festival is taking place, is on this Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/The Lit Room. Right. So thank you all so much for tuning in for our portion. We will be back at the end. We will be chatting with you in the comments. And I am very, very, very pleased to announce our global correspondence, our global COVID correspondence. Thank you. Stay tuned.
Everybody, my name is Suhas and I am a stand-up comedian all the way from India. Let me preface by saying that I am a college dropout and that I am not smart in any which way, shape or form. So I'm just going to be telling you what I know and basically what I've got from reading all the newspapers and watching a couple of news telecasts. And if I say something wrong, remember, please let me off the hook, cut me some slack. Forgiveness is the key to a long and happy life, and ignorance is bliss. In the news today, India actually crossed its tally of 100,000, and the fatality count actually rose to 3,157. Now, according to the data released by the State Health Department, with 5,079 cases on Monday, the total number of cases actually rose to 1,734. That's 100,734 cases. Out of these cases, 58,360 are active cases and 39,217 have actually recovered. Also, between May 11th and May 17th, India recorded 4,077 cases on average, making it the fourth highest among all the countries. This is the table. America is still number one. America, fuck yeah! Okay, that was a cheap shot. I shouldn't have done that, please. Forgiveness is key for happiness. Remember that, alright? Okay, I'm gonna try my best not to crack silly jokes. And India has a doubling rate of about 13.5, which basically means that the number of corona cases are actually doubling every 13.5 days. And as soon as the Karnataka state government, where I actually live, the Karnataka state government actually announced a relaxation of the lockdown, 99 new COVID cases were reported in Karnataka. This is the highest ever reported in a day in Karnataka. So basically the total number of cases in Karnataka is now at 1,246. I would also like to talk about a particular issue that made every Indian's heart bleed recently. This was the situation the situation and the pain that our migrant workers actually went through. A lot of migrant workers without pay and housing decided to walk all the way back to their hometowns. Some going as far from Bangalore to Rajasthan. That's a long fucking walk. Okay, like that's the distance. Can you imagine walking that? Because the police officers had to enforce the lockdown, a lot of these migrant workers were not allowed to travel by roads. Many of the migrant workers decided to walk along the train tracks. And this happened.
At least 15 people are dead and a few injured after a train ran over them in India's southwestern state of Maharashtra. Officials say the victims are migrant laborers who are thought to be traveling to their home villages.
But the good thing that we all actually have to talk about, the government of India actually announced a 20 lakh crore stimulus package under which 3 lakh collateral-free loan schemes were approved for micro, small and medium enterprises. 3 lakh crore. How many zeros is that? And they extended the deadlines for income tax payments, also cutting down TDS, tax deduction at source, and TCS, tax collection at source, by 25%. And people who are the most affected, the migrant workers will be given free food grains. And in India, basically, if you're below the poverty line, you get to possess a ration card, and if you present that, the government actually provides you with free ration. But the government announced that you no longer need to possess the ration card to avail these services. A total of 3,500 crores will be spent for this purpose, for the provision of free food grains and pulses. There are 63 lakh agricultural loans worth 86,600 crores. I don't even know how to convert that into that. It sounds good on paper, but I don't exactly know how this will be implemented or when this will be implemented as of yet. I'll keep you guys posted. Excuse the screaming kids. This is India. There are a billion of them around. Lockdown 4.0, as they are calling it, has been extended till May 31st, but there are a lot of relaxations that have been provided by the government. Road State Transport Corporation buses and private buses in Karnataka will be allowed to run, and the state government also announced that all shops will be allowed to open, and that trains running within the state will be allowed to operate. Taxis, autos, cabs, autos, the tuk-tuks that you guys like, yeah, all of them are going to be allowed to operate from tomorrow. But non-essential services are going to be stopped from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day. The night curfew is still in place. And Sundays, the government has decided that it will be a total lockdown across the state. Yediyurappa, our chief minister, actually said it today. And malls, shopping complexes, and movie theaters are still going to be closed until further notice. And actually, good news for all the people who actually love Indian movies. Many movies have actually decided to opt for the direct release on OTT platforms like Amazon Prime and Netflix. PVR and Inox, two massive multiplex chains, actually put out statements saying that they were unhappy with the decision taken by filmmakers and producers to actually release their movies on OTT platforms. And Inox and PVR, let me just tell you, fuck you guys. You guys have been ripping off general public for years now. Okay, and now when we need entertainment the most, you guys are going to be like, oh my god, don't put it there, put it back in theaters, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry, it's just the frustration of not having, but I do miss watching movies in a cinema hall. Those were the days. Saloons and spas are also going to be open. which is a good thing for all you guys who wanted to groom yourselves. Like now you guys can go ahead and do it. The IT companies have been allowed to open, though the government has strongly suggested to keep. Though the government has suggested that that the companies actually let their employees work from home as long as possible. And experts did predict the surge in coronavirus cases well before even the lockdown was relaxed. They are actually happy, saying that the cases did not rise as much as they expected. Also, the government also introduced a new law in favor of farmers, saying that now they can directly sell their produce to the consumer rather than going to a mandi. Basically, the farmers were used to a system called the mandi system, where they would come to a market and they would sell their produce at wholesale prices and to a broker or a middleman who would then sell their produce to retailers. But now the government has said that now they can directly sell their produce to the consumers, introducing a new law for contract farming. And the government is also encouraging farmers to sell their produce directly online. Last but not the least, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರಿ, ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿರಿ, ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿರಿ. And in the words of the great legend, Dr. Shankar Nag sir, actually why should I say it? Namore helbidli.
Hi folks, good evening. Listen to the groovy music from your fabulous Sanjay. Thank you. ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಡು, ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಡು, ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ ಕುಣಿದ ತಾಳಕ್ಕೆ ಕುಣಿದ ನಲಿದ ರಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಲಿದ ನನ್ನಂತೆ ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಡು, ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕೆ.
Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Nadine et j'habite dans la magnifique ville de Montréal. So as you guys know, Montreal being part of Canada, and Canada is one of the biggest country in the world. It's quite big, but it's not that populated at all. And we've been hit really, really bad with COVID, especially Montreal actually. Just to give you a few facts, I'm gonna read my notes. We have over 80,081 cases in Canada, and of those 80,000 cases, 44,775 of them are in the province of Quebec, and of those 44,000 cases, 22,636 of them are in the city of Montreal. So although Quebec, the province of Quebec, represents only 22% of the whole population of Canada, more than half of the cases are here in the province of Quebec, and of those cases, most of them are all here in Montreal itself. Good news is like more than half of them have healed from COVID, but the numbers are the death number. There's 6,091 deaths as of today in Canada. Of that number, 3,718 of them are in the province of Quebec, and of that number, 2,367 of those deaths are within the Montreal area. So, and most of those people, 40% of them are aged 80 years old and up, obviously. Why have we been hit so bad? That's a big question. I think, main reason is we started getting hit here back in mid-March, and mid-March represent the spring break for kids here in Quebec, and all the families, they just get the break and they fly away, they go on a nice vacation, and we were starting to get all those alerts, but people still decided to go on those breaks and came back and tested positive. And funny enough, after studying the first COVID cases, we've noticed that the people that were hit didn't travel to China, but to the US actually. a lot of people from Quebec, a lot of people that are retired. Quite a big, I couldn't tell you the numbers, but a lot of them do own a place down in Florida. They travel to the US all winter long and come back in March. So a lot of those cases came back from those people traveling and coming back from Florida, plus the families, as I was telling you, coming back from their March break. And the other weak spots are elderly people. We've known for quite a while that they didn't get the best treatment. Maybe it was, a lot of it comes from the fact that people who take care of them, especially not the nurses, but more of the people who clean them up, who bathe them, who feed them, they've been underpaid for quite the longest time, and it was really hard to find good staff and to have them in places for a long time. So they started getting hit real bad, and a lot of them, it's been really tragic how a lot of people died in those elderly centers, and they were so understaffed. So that's the biggest, I would say that's the most tragic part of it. Other than that, I mean, I'm a flight attendant. I've been laid off, and I've been traveling up until we all been laid off as of April 5th. But we did do quite a couple of rescue flights where we went. I personally went to England, I went to France, I went to Spain to try and get those Canadians back home so they could, get treatments and at least be stuck at home. And I've seen it all, and I think we had it pretty easy here. I don't think the government have been really strict. I've seen empty cities in Spain, Madrid, which is like amazing, big and huge, and I took off from Madrid and I saw the empty interstates everywhere, and that was like, to me, it was something unreal. And the previous day I was in England and the pubs were still open. That was quite surprising to me. So anyways, here we've been in lockdown, but I mean, it's not like we need any kind of paper or special permission to go out. We're supposed to go out only to attend to our essential needs. We don't have to wear the mask, not yet. It's highly recommended now. It wasn't at first, but now it is. But it's still not an obligation at all. Then, I mean, we had some big news today. As we starting this Friday, gatherings of 10 people will be allowed, but of course you have to keep your distance. It has to be outside. It has to be from top 3 different families. And hold on, there's something else there too that we need to respect other than social distancing. Outside, 3 families. I think that's it. Yes, I think it's kind of funny though, because I'll be super honest with you. Since I'm not working, I'm volunteering, and I do quite some deliveries for people in need of food and stuff like that. And whenever I drive around, I mean, the nice days are back now. I mean, it took forever for spring to set in, but now it has. And I mean, parks are full of people, and gatherings of more than 10 people have been a bit everywhere. That's not helping us at all. But so that was the big news today. So now they're actually gonna be allowed. Other than that, I mean, businesses, they're about to reopen starting Monday in Montreal. They have been open in the rest of the province of Quebec for about 2 weeks, I believe now. Of course, there are a lot of restrictions as how many people in the stores. You have to follow the arrows, the lines, social distancing, of course. People are really well protected. Then again, the masks are not mandatory, but really they recommend it highly. Montreal we've been waiting a bit, but now we've had the few days where it's decreasing, the numbers of deaths, the numbers of cases, but it's still pretty high here. So that's why they put it. We're having it we're having delays compared to the rest of the province, and other provinces Ontario, I mean Manitoba, they've had like businesses open for quite a while. They can even go and get a nice haircut if they want to. So for us, it's for the rest of the province. On June 1st, dentist will be opened again. I mean, a bunch of therapists. As for Montreal, then again, it's going to be a little later as we have so many cases. So this whole situation's been kind of tough, although I've personally seen it really worse. So I don't think we have that much to complain about, as people were going on and about freely about their things. And I've seen a lot of good stuff happening because of that. I've seen a lot of people getting together doing amazing things. And I've seen the worst in people as well too, as people are getting fed up with the lineups everywhere to go and get their grocery done. And people are starting to scream at each other. I came to a nice lady the other day and I asked this guy to stop yelling at her, since like I mean, we're all in this together. I mean, there's no point of getting aggressive towards each other. It's a tough time, but we're gonna make it through. I surely hope so. And as I was saying, Canada has been hit really bad. I mean, especially Montreal. The rest of Canada, it's pretty actually nice. Cool. I was looking at New Brunswick, where they had a few cases, but no deaths whatsoever. And then again, we've been really, really transparent. So I guess that makes a big difference. As in other countries, I don't know how real the facts are. I don't know about, like, immigrants who are in a certain country illegally, are they part of those numbers or not? So what can I say? I just can't wait to go back to a normal life and start flying again. So all of you guys, take care. I hope this was helpful. I was really part of this project. Take care. Stay safe.
I'm coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Democratic Governor Tim Walz has been using a dial system to communicate the risk and to offer guidance moving forward through the coronavirus pandemic. You see it has 2 dials and a slider bar. The dials are the workplace settings, your social settings, and your school settings. On the low side are highly predictable and smaller sized groups, and on the higher side are going to be like your stadiums and your very busy, unpredictable spaces. We have our safe practices down here, which are washing our hands often, staying home when sick, and social distance yourself. What they mean by that is keeping 6 feet apart from anyone that you don't live with. Our COVID response right now is to test symptomatic individuals, isolate positive cases, and protect those with heightened risk. We need to build our needed hospital capacity and procure critical care supplies. Now, when they decide how we want to move these, we started out here with the critical services in the workplace, but we've moved up to the industrial area. And in fact, as of yesterday, we've gone up to the single shops. So on our social settings, we started here, stay at home only with your families, and we have moved right up here to small family gatherings. Next in line is going to be our places of worship. So the way that they decide how to loosen restrictions is they consider 3 factors: public health, social distancing, and societal well-being. So in the public health section, they ask 4 very important questions. 1, how does this impact the possible spread? 2, how prepared to test, trace, and isolate those who are exposed are we? 3, are our hospitals prepared for increasing patients? And 4, how does this impact public health for non-COVID related illnesses? Under the social distancing, they ask, can you effectively social distance when doing this action? Do we have the supplies to keep workers and customers safe? How big are the gatherings, and will people be safe? And are the settings predictable on how people gather and how they interact? And under social well-being, they ask, will this action help spur our economic recovery? Does this action promote mental health and well-being for the public? Does this action encourage communities to return to civic life in a thoughtful way? And does this action meaningfully improve the lives of those who have been disproportionately affected by the COVID virus, which are going to be people of color, homeless, indigenous, people with compromised immune systems, and people living in congregate living facilities? On May 18th, Minnesota saw the reopening of non-essential businesses and social gatherings of 10 people or less. We also saw an increased amount of cases. We're kind of on an upswing right now. On Monday, 5,229 tests revealed 660 new cases, and on Tuesday the 19th, 5,500 tests revealed another 641 new cases. Monday and Tuesday had the largest increase in hospitalizations, with an increase of 57 people. Tuesday to Wednesday only had 5 new people going into the hospital. So as of Wednesday, May 20th, we have 550 people hospitalized, 212 of them in the ICU, and there have been a total of 17,670 lab-confirmed cases and a total of 786 deaths. Minnesota is currently tracking 8 counties with food processing plant outbreaks, including Stearns County, where restaurant bar owner Chris Schiffler insisted that he would open for dine-in service right away at 6 locations on Monday, May 18th, with the relaxing of other governor's orders. In response to this, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison brought a lawsuit towards him and threatened to fine up to $25,000 per location per day. A GoFundMe was set up, and Schiffler raised over $200,000 to cover his legal fees. And despite this overwhelming support, he still chose not to fully open and instead stick with curbside pickups and off-sale liquor. Stearns County is currently the number 2 hotspot of COVID cases. They have over 1,700 residents testing positive. It is 2.5 times higher than Hennepin County, which is where Minneapolis is located, and it is 3.5 times higher than Ramsey County, which is where our other city center, St. Paul, is located. On Wednesday, May 20th, Governor Tim Walz announced that as of June 1st, we will be slowly opening our bars and restaurants for patio service only, tattoo parlors with a lot of advance notice and appointments, salons, and barbershops. Also, we're going to be able to open all of our camping. So, as of right now, on our dial system, we can gather in groups of 10 or less. We can have retail service, very limited, and we're still distance learning for all of our kids. That's what's happening in Minnesota. Thanks for checking in. I'm Missy Mars.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, this is Dory and I am reporting for List Victories, that broadcast out of Boston, Massachusetts, best city in the world. But I don't live there. I live in Somerville, which is a couple miles outside of Boston, but it still counts. So I will be reporting on the numbers for Massachusetts, and we're going to get started with the cases as of yesterday, which is May 19th, 2020. So here are the numbers for that day, yesterday. 87,925 cases in Massachusetts. And that is number 4th in the nation, behind New York, New Jersey, and Illinois. So we're number 4 in overall COVID-19 cases. There have been 5,938 deaths. We're number 3 in the nation in regards to number of deaths. Right now, there are 54,175 active cases in Massachusetts, and for every 1 million in population, there are 862 deaths in Massachusetts. And that's of yesterday. And today is May 20th, 2020. So on Monday, which was May 18th, the governor of Massachusetts, Governor Charlie Baker, released a 4-phase reopening plan for the entire Commonwealth. And Phase 1 started this Monday. So Phase 1 started the day that it was introduced via press conference. And This phase 1 says that manufacturing and construction can open with limitations. Houses of worship can open at 40% capacity with limitations. The gatherings in, let's say, in a park, something like that, the social gatherings are still limited to 10 people tops. And this is all while practicing social distancing. So 6 feet apart, wear the mask, do all of that. That is the restrictions on all of these phases. Like, we can do this if we follow the rules of social distancing. As of right now, we're on schedule for Monday, May 25th, next Monday, for office buildings to be able to reopen with these restrictions, but except Boston. Boston is not included in this, but all of the other office buildings in the Commonwealth are allowed to reopen with these social distancing restrictions. So more on that to come. Hair salons, pet grooming, car washes, and curbside retail are able to open up with social distancing restrictions Monday, May 25th. June 1st, Boston offices are said to reopen. And there has been a little bit of controversy against this because a lot of people, in order to get to their office buildings in Boston, they have to ride the T, and it's would be nearly impossible to social distance when you're packed on the red line going into Boston and you're pressed up against other people. You know, that's the problem that keeps coming up. It's like, how do you expect people to safely get to and from work? So that's something that's being discussed. Okay, so before we go into phase 2 of Massachusetts reopening, I just want to mention that right now it is state law that if you are outside of your home, you have to wear a face mask. It doesn't have to be medical grade, but you have to wear one. And if you're caught without one, you get a warning. And then if you get caught again, you can be fined $300 for not following this rule. And that is statewide, all throughout Massachusetts. So let's talk about phase 2. So let's say that the numbers continue to decline for phase 1 and the timing doesn't get pushed out for phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be at least 3 weeks after phase 1. So at least 3 weeks after that initial May 18th opening date. So these phases are at the earliest 3 weeks spread out. So phase 2 would include opening of retail, restaurants, hotels, and personal services like nail salons, and that is with restrictions. Wearing the face mask, practicing social distancing, but these can open at a limited capacity. So phase 3 will be at least 3 weeks after phase 2, and these are all the shortest amount of time, the shortest numbers. So if the numbers don't continue to decline, then it can get pushed out. But phase 3 is at least 3 weeks after phase 2, includes the opening of bars, yes, casinos, gyms, doesn't affect me, and museums. And that's with restrictions, with wearing the masks. And then phase 4, this is what we're all hoping for. This includes when there's a vaccine for the virus. So we have no idea when phase 4 is going to hit Massachusetts. We have no idea when these vaccines will, number one, be developed, approved by the FDA, mass produced, and then distributed across the planet. So phase 4, we have no idea when this will be. And that includes a new normal. And then the travel restrictions will be lifted. People will be able to travel for work and for leisure. That seems very far away right now. But overall, Massachusetts seems to be following it well enough. At least in my small little space in Somerville. I go to the supermarket, I go to the liquor store. In the liquor store they have like the plexiglass protecting the person who's at the cash register, and people at the Stop and Shop, they seem to be wearing their masks, and overall, I feel pretty safe here in Massachusetts. I'm very diligent on wearing my mask, and I, don't want to get anybody sick by accident, and I don't want to get sick myself. So there's definitely some anxiety still surrounding that personally. And yeah, that's going to be it for today. Sorry if I talk too much, but that's it. I'm out. Dory from Boston, Massachusetts. We'll see you next week. Bye!
Hi, I'm Genevieve Rice, and I'm reporting from Phoenix, Arizona on Wednesday, May 20th. According to Worldometer, Arizona has had a total of 14,897 cases and 747 deaths at the time of this report. I don't have figures on confirmed recoveries, but according to the Arizona Department of Health, new cases and deaths are on the rise. Today we've had 43 deaths reported, which is one of our deadliest days so far. We've also had 331 new cases reported just today. However, Arizona is reopening anyway. On May 12th, Governor Doug Ducey announced his statewide stay-at-home order would end on May 15th and introduced a new executive order for phase 1 of reopening called Stay Healthy, Return Smarter, Return Stronger. The new order allows for barbers and cosmetologists, retail establishments, pools, gyms, and spas to reopen as early as May 18th with enhanced physical distancing and sanitation guidelines. Also, restaurants are now able to provide dine-in services. New order also calls for such measures as increased testing availability and frequency, expanded contact tracing, additional PPE for frontline medical workers and emergency responders, as well as enhanced safety protocols for nursing homes and other high-risk facilities. Of course, Arizona is also home to a very significant portion of the Navajo Nation, which, according to CNN, has had the highest rate of infection in the United States, just surpassing New York. The Navajo Nation has had 4,071 cases, according to Nation President Jonathan Nez. And according to the 2010 census, the Navajo Nation has a population of 173,667 people. So that would make its per capita of infections 2,344 cases per 100,000 residents, compared with New York's 1,806 cases per 100,000 residents. Of course, Native Americans make up about 5% of Arizona's population, but comprise 12% of all cases and 17% of all fatalities. That's it for this week's Arizona Report. I'm Genevieve Rice.
Hello, Broadcast News. My name is Jacob Erdman, and I am reporting live from Northern Colorado, Fort Collins, on Monday, May 18th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m. So if you're watching this at this time, that's crazy, because this is recorded. So we're here talking about some COVID stuff, which is super fun. It's been a monumental switch in everybody's life. I don't know if I'm not into it personally. It's freaking me out. I'm a very people-oriented person. Plus, my main source of income is comedy and teaching. And both of those expired around March 14th of 2020 as a result of the stay-at-home measure that was levied by Polis, the governor. So I've been stuck in quarantine, just dealing with everything in the old dome, which is not a good thing. I mean, maybe it is. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, yeah, so my region that I am covering right now is the Northern Colorado, Fort Collins area. And I'll tell you what, there's some facts going on, some numbers. In Colorado today, May 18th, there's 264 new cases today, with 20,978 collectively. Larimer County, there was 6 new cases. That's the county where Fort Collins is located. So 6 new cases with a total of 495. Recoveries, it's kind of hard to say because no one's really defining what recovery means. I mean, does it mean that you live through the ordeal? I think that's a good metric because, because you could have lasting effects according to whomever. I don't know, who's ever coming up with the playbook with this is, like I said, it's kind of like blind leading the blind. So anyway, recoveries, that's a hard one to find because we don't really know just yet. But deaths is a very definite thing. I think a death is defined by being dead or the act of being dead, which, you would think that would make sense, but not everyone does. I mean, have you ever seen the movie Flatliners with Kiefer Sutherland? Yeah. They died like 30 times in that movie, but then they got resurrected. So anyway, here's a funny situation. There was a guy on death row, he was in prison, and he had a life sentence, and in prison he died as a result of a diabetic seizure, I believe, and then got resuscitated, and then asked the judge to be let free because he had served out his life sentence. I don't know. Look it up. It's pretty funny. He almost got out on a technicality, and by almost mean not even close, but you know what? Kudos for trying, for sure. So anyway, so deaths in Colorado today were nine collectively, with 1,224 altogether. In Larimer County, there was no new deaths today, with a collection of 21 deaths altogether in Larimer County. So that's where we're at with Northern Colorado. Really nothing to report regarding measures and other things that have been levied by executive orders by our governor. And basically, the one thing that I did notice is that we are able to legally camp in Colorado state parks now as of May 12th. So that's fun. If you're into camping, come on down because there is a lot of camping space out here. And it's beautiful. It's great. But yeah, man, COVID is it's a tricky thing. It's blind leading the blind at this point because no one really knows. They're still doing testing. But I got it. I got COVID early March, and it was tough. It was awful. It was the only way. I didn't get any antibodies checked. I didn't get an actual check regarding the COVID situation, but I went down the list and I got literally every symptom. And I'm asthmatic, and when I was going through this situation, I was like, man, this is a really weird flu because I've never had to use my inhaler for a flu before. So, if as I went down the symptoms, because I got it on March 4th, like that's when it kicked in. So that means that I got it 1 to 2 weeks before March 4th. So, when it was kicking in full steam, it was just the most nightmare situation ever. Because I just thought it was like a really bad flu, and because that's what that's what the symptoms were outside of the breathing situation and the 103 fever for 4 days, and that was tough. And I'll tell you what, man, COVID is not to be trifled with. And if I didn't get COVID, if I go and get an antibody test and they're like, dude, you didn't have it, then holy shit. This is the worst flu that I've ever had, and if it's coinciding with a brand new virus, yeah, be afraid, be very afraid, because I'm relatively young and relatively healthy, and I use the word relatively very liberally, because I'm 37, and I have asthma, and my blood pressure could use some work, but I'm not going to cut out salts. I mean, I'm going to die happy, is what I'm trying to say. Hopefully not from COVID again. But I would say use your best judgment regarding the COVID situation because it's scary. If you get it, just deal with it. Try not to die. That's pretty much all the advice I can give you because when I was going through it, I was literally, the only thing that I could do, I wasn't hungry, I was dying of thirst constantly, and so I'd just be drinking Gatorades with the emergency situation going into it, and it was a tough spot, real tough. But yeah, so that's all the facts coming out from the Northern Colorado area. Thank you so much for everybody for listening. List Victory for putting this together, and that broadcast. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.
Hey there, Darwin's Finches here, Justin from Houston, Texas, and here is my coronavirus report from down south here. So, total confirmed cases in Harris County, which is the big central part of Houston. There was 8,176 confirmed cases as of May 18th. So, yeah, it's a big city, a lot of people. Today, that number was 909. And in Harris County, which is central Houston again, we had 179 deaths so far. So, it's been strange here. Everybody's actually been in fairly cooperative, good spirits down here. I have planted a garden, with my family, and I've talked to a lot of other people who are doing similar type of things. Beans and cucumbers happening right now. I work at a nature sanctuary, so I spend a lot of time outside. There's been a lot more people outside walking around, so this has forced everyone to slow down and stop and smell the flowers. There's back on April 27th, there was a law passed down here where everybody had to wear masks or suffer a $1,000 fine, which definitely has not been enforced, I don't think, in any way, shape, or form. But I've been wearing my mask when I'm out there, so everyone's surviving. We're riding bikes a lot and spending quality time together. Mother Nature sent us all to our rooms for a while, so here's a little song that me and my son wrote about the whole situation, and he wrote the chorus, so here it is. It's called Immunity. The world is the best. The world is the best place to live. The world is the best place to live. Singing songs place to live. So that's what a 7-year-old thinks right now about all this. Hope everybody's doing good out there in the world. Yeah, you know, it's been interesting times, strange times, quarantine times. So everybody take care. Darwin's Finches. Good night.
Hello, I'm Melanie from Indiana. I'm a school teacher and a former scientist. I used to work in microbiology, and I'm going to explain a little bit about the Indiana coronavirus response. So, I'm not sure where all of you guys are from, but it's a little bit different here than other states. We're smaller and very rural. I'm going to share some screens with you guys. So, we're about half the population of Ohio. So keep that in mind when we're talking about percentages and deaths and all of that stuff. So here we go. We've been really lucky to have our governor and our other people sharing a lot of our information about coronavirus. So starting May 11th, we reopened the state. We've been pretty steady at about roughly 500 cases. Since then, we're moving into this weekend with Memorial Day. The third stage of our 4 or 5 stage reopening. So we're still at 28,000 cases and almost 1,700 deaths. We don't have any great statistics about how many recoveries there've been because we're really far behind New York and California on cases still. So, and I was going to show you guys our population of Indiana, if you could still see it. We're at 6.7 million. So like I said, roughly half that of Ohio. Some things that our governor and our other law people have been doing in our response to coronavirus and putting through all of the rules and the shutdowns. We were shut down through the schools and through a stay-at-home order for a little, like a month and a half. And then they started opening us back up based on how many hospital cases there were. We are still seeing a pretty good increase in total number of cases, but our hospital usage is staying steady at about 7 to 8%. So we're expecting to see the number of cases here continue to climb. The 2 counties here, let me see if I can show you a map really quickly. So when we're looking at Indiana, we have 2 counties that are standing out more than everyone else. There's our statewide positive cases per day, and that's just the new cases there. You can see that's up and down, but we're still not really down on that. What's going really well for us is since we've reopened the 11th, is we've had really terrible weather and no one's really wanted to go out like we normally would this close to Memorial Day. If you see our map here, Marion County, that's where our state capital is. They're one of the heaviest counties as far as cases and deaths go. They extended their stay-at-home order for a couple of weeks over the other ones. This other county here, that's Orange Lake County, that's right next to Chicago. So we are seeing interstate traffic. We don't see nearly as much interstate traffic going across the northern border with Michigan, but you can see that Elkhart and St. Joe County are a little bit higher. They do have a lot of cross between there for different plants and different jobs. So those are our new cases by day. That's our total number of cases. Again, we don't have a whole lot of information about people who have recovered because we're still so early on in the process for us. Our demographic distributions, Indiana is mostly white. As you can see, 85% of our population here. We're not seeing as much of a racial divide on this as other states like Michigan are, just because we have a lot less people. And we do have a lot of unknown where people didn't respond to it. What else? As far as age groups, we're seeing a lot of 40 to 60 year olds out and about. For the most part, the millennial generation, the 20 to 40 year olds ish, give or take, we're staying home. Most of my friends are doing that, but when you're out and about, you'll see a lot of people out without masks on. the best place, the most safe place as far as masks go for me has been Joann Fabrics. Worst one's a gas station. So hopefully that gives you a little insight. It might be different than where you're at. We're still hanging in there. Our schools are still closed through the end of the year, and we're waiting to see what happens before they make any big judgments as far as school reopening, kind of playing it by ear. But our state is planned to reopen fully by July 4th. So it's nice talking to you guys. I'm Melanie from Indiana. Hopefully that brings you guys up to date. Thanks. Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Elrad here, coming at you from Detroit, Michigan. Today is Wednesday, May 20th, 2020, and I'm just here to talk a little bit about the Rona and stats and stuff going on in Michigan lately. Big thanks to Liz for asking me to be a part of this whole thing and, do this embarrassing video for you guys. So yeah, as of today, the 20th of May, there are 53,009 total cases of coronavirus in Michigan and 5,060 total deaths in the state of Michigan. Out of those total numbers, 10,499 total cases are in Detroit City proper, along with 1,280 of those deaths. As far as different things that are going on, there's a lot that's been happening, I guess, in Michigan. I'm sure people have seen the news about the protests and everything. We'll get to that. I guess the most recent development is just in time for Memorial Day. As of this coming Friday, which is the beginning of Memorial Day weekend, parts of Michigan are going to start process of reopening, specifically the upper peninsula and the northernmost part of the lower peninsula are going to enter a phase of reopening, and the kind of businesses included in that will be restaurants and bars, but at 50% capacity, and the servers have to wear masks. Retail, where employees will have to be given PPE and go through learning protocols on how to disinfect things and keep distance and everything. Masks are encouraged to be worn by everybody, and really just should be worn by people for going out for 5 minutes to pick up your groceries. Just put it on your face and save the hassle for everybody about arguing about it. It's kind of pointless. Also, in that reopening, offices for people who can't do their jobs remotely, they will be allowed to come into work. Like I said, that's for the northernmost parts of the state. As for the rest of the state, we're still under a stay-at-home order and a state of emergency until at least May 28th. And we'll see where it goes from there. Our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, has actually been facing a good deal of opposition about this whole thing. She's being sued by state legislatures for extending her executive orders without their approval. And there have been 3 major protests, as I mentioned earlier, that happened at the Capitol building in Lansing. I'm sure you guys saw in the news people wielding guns and screaming about the freedoms and storming the Capitol building and all that stuff. I'm gonna keep my opinions to myself on that, but it's just it's crazy to see the way that this pandemic has, what it's brought out of people and the things. Everybody's frustrated and scared. I don't think, I think those people are also frustrated and scared. I don't know if that's the way to handle it, but despite the fact that our governor has been facing a lot of opposition, she continues to err on the side of caution as far as proceeding with how to handle this pandemic and everything. As I was reading my, just through articles and stuff to get this video ready, and one of the things that she had said recently, so as I said, there's about 5,060 total deaths as of today in Michigan, and one of the examples that she recently gave was to imagine the Fox Theater, which is a beautiful, one of the most grandiose buildings I've ever seen. It's a very grand, beautiful theater in Detroit, and it holds 5,000 people. And so she kind of mentioned, if you were to imagine yourself standing on that stage and looking out into the theater, and every one of those empty chairs represents a life that was lost in the course of 2 months. That's really something to think about. So as much as everybody wants to get back to normal, we gotta take our time there and figure out how to do that. That's really all I got. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention this when I mentioned our governor, Gretchen Whitmer. One of the other kind of quaint things to come out of Detroit and Michigan is the rapper G. Mac Cash came up with an affectionate nickname and song about the governor, who's now also known as Big Gretch. If you haven't checked it out, give it a listen. It's pretty, it's cool. He also did another song about coronavirus, when all of this stuff started popping off, and that's also pretty entertaining too. So give those things a, check out, and that's all I got for you. Peace out.
Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Nick Rabiel. I am reporting as your Pennsylvania correspondent on behalf of that broadcast. I am reporting from the River's Edge Radio Network studios in Millville, Pennsylvania. We are located in the Mr. Smalls complex. Big thanks to both of those organizations. Remember to support your independent venues. Please look up Mr. Smalls on Facebook and support your local independent venues. You can also find the River's Edge on Facebook. Anyways, today is Wednesday, May 20th. This is your coronavirus update for that broadcast. I would like to give you the numbers of the coronavirus cases, deaths, and recovery. Here are the totals. There have been in total in Pennsylvania 67,735 cases, 4,753 deaths, and 6,856 recovered. Of that, there are 230 new cases. The last time I checked was 6 p.m. today. I believe these numbers began at midnight the day before. There have been 43 deaths, and I did not see any data for new recoveries. Now, I would like to give you the source of my numbers. The source of my numbers is worldometers.org. Next, I would like to explain a little bit about what Pennsylvania's plans for reopening are. From what I understand, I've been tuning in to Governor Wolf's broadcast, his news broadcast that he's been hosting probably 5 times a week on weekdays, it seems. So his plan for reopening, as he has stated, is kind of goes like a stoplight situation. Red, yellow, and green, rather. Red is life-sustaining businesses are open, schools are closed, stay at home, basically shut it all down, stay home, unless it's life-sustaining. That was kind of the rule set at that point. We were seeing road signs at that point in time if you're on the road, and it said something along the lines of limit travel, stay home. and yellow, which is now the phase that the counties that I reside in and spend time in, particularly Allegheny County, you'll see signs that will say, which I really appreciate. This is it encourages to keep distance between the cars and between cars and also to limit travel and do social distancing. So I think it's really fun. It's really kind of funny to see that on the highways. It's like social distancing and also traffic distancing. But it's honestly, at the end of the day, that's a safe way to approach it. Regardless of how you feel about it, you don't need to ride anybody's ass, rear end. I'm sorry if I'm cursing when I shouldn't be. But anyways, red, yellow, and green. Red, everything's closed. Stay home unless it's sustaining a life. Yellow, curbside is preferred. Retail's back open with with some rules. And gatherings are limited to 25. 25 people, that is. 25, that's like, parties, whatever. Yeah, 25 or it's too much. Social gatherings, that's what that is. And green, which nobody's in right now, is, as of Wednesday, May 20th, is where basically everything's lifted and you need to follow the Pennsylvania and CDC guidelines. According to Governor Tom Wolf's website, pa.gov, tons of other websites, that the government has posted up. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my experience here in Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh and, the surrounding areas in which I spend my time. In my experience, traffic's been better than ever. I have had to drive in rush hour, and rush hour just reminds me of whenever I lived in southern West Virginia, and there was pretty much no traffic ever in comparison. Rush hour used to be, you can't move for an hour. Now, rush hour is, it's just a road that's kind of pretty much open. There's cars on there, but we're moving. It's kind of nice, Also kind of creepy, if you ask me. I noticed a small spike whenever the yellow phased open. I believe that was May 15th, 5 days ago from today. But it was nothing like it was before. I tuned in yesterday, May 19th, and I believe I heard Governor Wolf state that he intends to allow cocktail sales, cocktails to go from bars. We'll see how that plays out. That's kind of nice. I think bars are getting hit really hard. You're not really seeing a lot of people going out to watch the football game or hang out and watch the local band. Also, look out for your local bands, man. They're really having a tough time right now. I'll tell you that. Look out for your local venues right now. They're having a tough time right now. When we know it's all safe, let's party. Let's enjoy our local bands. Anyways, back to business. My experience on the streets. I was on the streets today, doing what I had to do, doing my daily business, and I was approached by a panhandler, and he was wearing a mask, which I thought was very interesting. He asked me for some money for some food. I told him, unfortunately, I don't have any cash, and none of the restaurants are open. And he called me a jagoff, and my heart just fluttered. That felt very nice. I did feel bad that I couldn't, give him any food at that point in time. And, I was telling the truth. I had a dime in my pocket, and I knew that if I handed him a dime, he'd still call me a jagoff. That's a term of endearment and a term of frustration in Pittsburgh. So I love all you jagoffs. Anyways, as a musician and sound engineer, I just wanted to, I just watched the date of a festival that I really appreciate in this town, where we support a bunch of local musicians and a bunch of local businesses to get together, and we all have a good time and support each other. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have that at that point. It has been postponed. I just want to stress the importance that we can still support each other, and this too shall pass. And take care of each other. Take care of your friends. You know, all of us are going through some difficult times. Check in on someone. Thanks for tuning into that broadcast. My name's Nick Rabiel. I'm your Pennsylvania correspondent. Goodbye.
The man shut our skate park down, but we're back now.
This is John Sheehan, coming to you from the skate park in the middle of West Penn Park, in the middle of the Polish Hill section of Pittsburgh. As you may notice, I'm wearing an expensive t-shirt from a skateboarding company in an effort to show the kids that I'm down with skating. But they'll probably see right through that. It's actually pretty lame and obvious. As you can also see, the skate park is open and ready for use. But it wasn't that long ago that the city had shut the skate park down. On May 7th, the city of Pittsburgh dumped sand on the skate park in an effort to prevent it from being used. Now, it seems to me that it's not likely that anyone who actually skateboards works for the city, because their fear was the skaters getting within 6 feet of each other and giving each other that coronavirus. But the fact of the matter is, it's pretty dangerous to be 6 feet from someone when they're skateboarding. You're going to crash into them, you're going to get hurt. So skateboarding actually has social distancing built in. Mysteriously, shortly after the city shut the park down with the sand, a pile of sand was left at City Hall. The city, in response to questioning, stated that they were not willing to confirm a link between the two incidents. But come on. Now, on May 9th, a group of locals got together and attempted to clean up the sand from the skate park to make it usable again. City police came by and stopped them from cleaning up the sand. The mayor, in a statement, stated that they were in danger of being arrested, but the city chose to not arrest them at that time. Why is the park open now, you ask? How did this happen? Well, on May 15th, Allegheny County went into the yellow stage, which means that some things could open again. With that in mind, after the county and the city went into yellow, the city sent crews to clean the sand up out of the skate park. The same park that they had days before that threatened to arrest people for cleaning. Now, when this all went down, the first thing that came to my mind was, I wonder what Pittsburgh comics artist Jim Rugg thinks of this. For those who may not be aware, Jim Rugg is the creator of Street Angel, a comic book about a teen skateboarder girl. I reached out to him for comment. Now, as of this time, he hasn't gotten back to me yet. So, since we don't have a statement from him, we've asked someone to review the Street Angel comic series.
This is Street Angel, the deadliest girl alive. Oh, wow. She has 2 knives and nunchucks. I'm like a dog with the pointy collar. Oh, this is awesome. I love it. Nice. It's great. Even a tiger.
I don't think there's anything else that I could say.
Okay, so first, huge shout out to everyone that has contributed to this project. It required a lot of work and a lot of effort, and everyone who heroically stepped up. Thank you so much. It's important we hear from everyone's perspectives and everyone's point of view. And I know Wiz, watching List Victory work on this, as well as talking to us here at 99 Perspectives at Hardlands Media about what she wanted to do for this project, we understood, and we were more than happy to collaborate with her and at the same time to let her use our studio space. And this is the whole idea of 99 Perspectives, to hear different points of view, but also, look, COVID-19 is a very real threat to us all, and we have to hear what's happening not only in our own respective states, but neighboring states across this country and worldwide. And only together can we really fight for that better future and get out of this, because it's only together and what we do as a society can we really effectively bring in the change that we desperately need. But perhaps maybe I'm rambling on too long because, let's face it, this isn't my show. This is the broadcast hosted by List Victory. So
That
broadcast. So there you go. But I think it's important that we hear your perspective, your point of view as you give in the final notes for this wonderful program that you invited me on to be a co-host for.
My perspective, oh my gosh, I'm just again overwhelmed with unquantifiable joy and gratitude for all of our correspondents. They did a great job. On that note, we are seeking further correspondence because I would like to curate as many localities as absolutely possible. I mean, I would be more than willing to figure out how to go for 24 hours. I mean, we see legacy media, mainstream media, they do 24-hour news, and every hour they're repeating the same thing, or they're just supplying opinion pieces, spoon-feeding us opinion pieces over and over and over again, or shining the flashlight in the dark room. Oh my God, look at this horrific thing. And I just don't think that media needs to be another fear-mongering arm of the world. So I would like to present something that gives people hope, that gives people facts and numbers, and, it follows a leadership style similar to New York Governor Cuomo, lead from the front, lead by example. With that said, we are accepting submissions for correspondence, and that's from everywhere in the world, regardless of where your locality is. I want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. You can contact me at the following email, thatbroadcast@gmail.com. THAT, that, BROAD, broad, that's me, cast, CAST, thatbroadcast@gmail.com. Feel free to send an initial pitch. That's just text. If you would like to send a video clip, you're welcome to do that. Keep it at 3 to 5 minutes for the first clip, I would say. If you're just going to just send in a clip, feel free. Go for it. 3 to 5 minutes. Our limit right now, as far as time frame goes, is 10 minutes. And I'm willing to make accommodations for folks who want to play songs or include some sort of artistic addition. Like I said, I'm really interested in the creative ways people have expressed themselves and expressed the news about the global pandemic. I mean, as much as I am interested in reporting the news and keeping things as straight and as unbiased as humanly possible, I am interested in, the jokes that Suhas and Jacob were cracking. Like, that was great. It's a nice palate cleanser. And I did enjoy John Sheehan's kind of skate park skit.
It was great.
So other creative ideas are totally welcome too. My DMs are open. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can hit me up on Instagram pretty regularly on all of those. My handle is @LissVictory. That's @LISS And as I said before, you can find all of my information on my website, lissvictory.com. I do want to put it out there that I had such a great time here at 99 Perspective Studio, and we are building up the Lit Room and Lit Room Studios, so we will have a professional recording space. We're in the process of making that happen in New York City, but I feel like we are really on the ground floor of building an amazing global coalition of folks, and I'm really excited about the things that I've seen and done so far, just in, 24 hours that I've been working with 99 Perspectives, and I'd like to be back. So, shameless shill request here. I'm seeking a donor to help fund me coming back to 99 Perspective Studio so that maybe once every quarter or maybe once every month, that might be a bit much, but maybe once every month, I can come back and do a show like this with co-host Kit Cabello. We can work together. I really enjoyed working with you. It was a great time.
I would say I really enjoyed not only seeing you work, but also seeing your vision, what you want to do for this show, but also seeing all the correspondents that have, like I said before, heroically stepped up to actually contribute to what you're trying to do. And if we can get this pushing forward, I think it's an important voice for a lot of people to go to, because more and more people are not trusting corporate media. And you have shown that there are people out there, real people, who are really covering the reports out there and not just giving the mainstream Republican or Democratic media talking points that we've been trained to listen to for so many years. I think it's time we break that system. So if that can be arranged, if there's someone out there that would like to help out List Victory so that maybe a quarter or maybe once a month, I don't know, we could see if that can happen. If you could come back here to do some work here at 99 Perspectives and host your show, let's see if that can happen.
Yeah, I want to add, too, that working with your tech guy, I'm not sure what his official title is.
We call him Gunner, and he is a genius, a magician, and a hero, a poet warrior.
Damn, yeah, I totally agree. So having an engineer to work with really took so much of the burden off of me as the host and writer and editor and everything else. So Gunner took a lot of the work off my shoulders, and that was a huge relief. So I would really like to come back and work with the whole team again. If you're interested in helping out and becoming a donor in that capacity, again, you can email me at that same address, thatbroadcast@gmail.com, or hit up those DMs. They are open, my friends. All right, well, I think that's about it for us, huh?
I think that is about it. And more importantly, I think I had a real great time being a co-host on your show. And I look forward to future events. So please, everyone, let's actually help out independent media. There's a lot of us out there, and List Victory, I think you have a lot to really contribute. And I really learned a lot watching from all those different correspondents. So let's hope there's a to be continued. So let's help out. I know that you have the drive and the initiative, and we're glad to take off some of the burden in regards to tech gear and everything else, but lead the way.
Thank you so much. And with that, I encourage you all to choose bravery, choose love, and peace.